Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey as he takes a look at some of the biggest shows on the WWE Network.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Joey Harris, and we are broadcasting from makeshift studios in the shadow of South Central Virginia. Follow the show on Twitter and Blue Sky at Cup of Joe Pod. Email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. You can support the show at paypal.me/cupofjoepod. If you would like to send me something, I am also on Cash App and Venmo at the Joey Harris, and of course, patreon.com/babykangaroo media for bonus episodes of the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show, the Joey Harris Super Show, The Green Room, Book Club Baristas, and so much more. Just $5 a month for hours of extra content. And folks, back again, delaying our SummerSlam 2025 coverage by 1 week. We will get to both nights next week along with my Patreon co-host Tyler. We'll go over that. But today, we look at Holiday Hell 95 from ECW. Holiday Hell 95 took place on December the 29th, 1995 from the Lost Battalion Hall in Queens, New York. There were 1,283 in attendance. We get our TVMA intro and then our proper intro as the crowd chants ECW. Joey Styles says, "Oh my God, we're in New York City." He is joined in the ring by the Blue Meanie and Stevie Richards. The crowd antagonizes Meanie. Richards says the crowd is there to see him. He then puts the crowd down. They see Missy hide in the crowd and come over to her. She calls Richards a clueless putz. Richards asks her out and she laughs at him. He says he will give her a date with Raven and she's interested. We go to Taz with Bill Alfonso versus Koji Nakagawa. Alfonso antagonizes the crowd before the match. Alfonso slaps Nakagawa. Taz takes over on Nakagawa. He hits a German suplex. He throws Nakagawa out. Nakagawa attacks Taz, who no-sells it. He hits the belly-to-belly suplex to Nakagawa. He hits a series of suplexes. He puts the Taz mission on and Nakagawa taps. The crowd chants Sabu at Taz. Alfonso says no one can beat Taz. Taz says he's from New York. He berates the crowd and puts Sabu down. JT Smith versus Hack Myers. The bell rings and they circle each other. Myers with the early advantage. They trade moves. The crowd taunts Smith. He beats Myers in the corner. Myers comes back. They trade shots. Smith with a low blow. He throws Myers out and slams Myers on the floor. Smith hits a top rope elbow to Myers on the floor. He gets a slam and a 2 count. He powerbombs Myers for a 2 count. He goes for a moonsault and loses his footing. Myers drives Smith into the mat to get the pin. ECW Television and Tag Team Championship match, Too Cold Scorpio versus Mikey Whipwreck. Scorpio is a double champion and both belts are on the line. A kick his ass Mikey chant goes out. The crowd loves Whipwreck. Scorpio drives Whipwreck to the ropes and breaks clean. They trade moves and counters. Scorpio with a wrist lock. Whipwreck reverses it. Scorpio with a takeover. Scorpio with an armbar. He gets a side headlock. Back and forth. Whipwreck is thrown outside and Scorpio hits him with a baseball slide. Whipwreck thrown into the barricade and hit with a clothesline. Scorpio hits Whipwreck with a running kick. Whipwreck gets a head scissors and some drop kick. Scorpio goes outside and Whipwreck hits him with a tope. Scorpio ran into the barricade. Back in, Whipwreck misses a dive. They trade moves. Scorpio with a knee lift. Scorpio with a pump handle slam. He hits a tombstone pile driver. He hits a moonsault and a powerbomb. He hits the bomb moonsault. He super kicks Whipwreck. He goes up top but gets caught. A Franken Mikey from the top for a 2 count. Scorpio misses a corner splash and Whipwreck gets a 2 count. They battle and referee John Finnegan accidentally gets hit. Scorpio hits a twisting splash from the top. Scorpio is just dominating, but he won't go for the pin. Cactus Jack comes in and double arm DDT Scorpio. He puts Whipwreck on Scorpio and revives the referee to count the pin. And Whipwreck is a new double champion. The Eliminators Saturn and Cronus with Jason versus the Pitbulls with Francine. Saturn and Pitbull 1 start. Saturn with a Northern Light suplex for a 1 count. They trade moves. Cronus and Pitbull 2 tagged in. Cronus with the early advantage. Pitbull 2 comes back with a power slam. Cronus with a dragon suplex, back and forth. Saturn tagged in. Pitbull 2 kicked out of the ring. Saturn moonsaults on the Pitbull 2. Saturn goes for a suicide dive but hits Jason. Pitbull 1 hits Saturn and Jason with a chair. The Pitbulls dominate the Eliminators outside with a chair. Pitbulls with the advantage. They hit their opponents with a cookie sheet. Pitbull 2 with an elbow drop for a 2 count. Cronus in and hits a springboard splash for a 2 count. They trade shots. Pitbull 1 tagged in. All 4 men briefly in. Pitbull 1 gets a 2 count. Pitbull 1 with an armbar on Cronus. Pitbull 2 tagged in. Double clothesline to Cronus. They trade punches. Saturn tagged in. Pitbull 2 hits a pile driver. Jason trips Pitbull 2 and Saturn attacks him. It goes outside. The Eliminators hit total elimination with Pitbull 2. Cronus hits a moonsault for a 2 count. Cronus with a splash for a 2 count. Saturn tagged in and a double team splash gets a 2 count. All 4 men are in again. Jason hits a top rope splash and Pitbull 2 no-sells it. Cronus hits a splash for a 2 count. Saturn tagged in. He hits a diving knee drop to Pitbull 2. Pitbull 1 breaks up the pin attempt. Saturn with an elbow drop that Pitbull 2 no-sells. Double clothesline to the Eliminators. Cronus and Pitbull 1 tagged in. Pitbull 1 cleans house. Pitbull 1 gets an inside cradle, but referee Jim Molyneux was distracted. The Pitbulls in control. They take out Cronus and superbomb Saturn. Jason up on the apron. Francine attacks Jason, but in the confusions, the Eliminators hit total elimination on Pitbull 2 to get the pin. Tommy Dreamer versus Raven with Stevie Richards, the Blue Meanie, and Beulah McGillicuddy. Raven doesn't come out with his entourage. Richards says Raven won't be able to wrestle because he broke his leg. The crowd chants bullshit. Richards says Dreamer will face the Meanie. Dreamer calls Raven a pussy and tells Richards to go get Raven. Meanie attacks Dreamer. Dreamer hits a DDT to get the pin. He then DDTs and pins Richards. Dreamer grabs Beulah and goes to pile drive her, but Raven comes in and attacks Dreamer. He throws Dreamer out. Raven runs Dreamer into the barricade several times. He puts Dreamer on the table and then dives on the table, driving Dreamer through the table. He headbutts Dreamer down in the ring. He chokes Dreamer. Dreamer comes back and DDTs Raven and Richards several times. He hits Raven on the outside with a chair and a cheese grater. He hits Raven with several more weapons and then throws Raven into the front row. They fight towards the back and fight outside the building. They make their way back into the building. They get in the ring and both are bleeding. Both men down. Dreamer low blows Raven. Referee John Finnegan accidentally gets taken out. Beulah goes to spray Dreamer with hairspray, but he ducks and she sprays Raven. Richards comes in to help and Raven DDTs Richards. Dreamer DDTs Raven and gets a 2 count. Raven put in the tree of woe and Dreamer punches his crotch. Dreamer grabs a piece of broken table. He pile drives Raven into the piece of table and gets another 2 count. Dreamer goes to corner charge Raven with a chair and Raven pulls Finnegan in so he gets hit instead. Richards hits Dreamer with a super kick and Raven covers, but there's no referee. Meanie misses a moonsault when Dreamer moves. Dreamer pushes Richards, but Raven DDTs Dreamer on a chair to get the pin. El Puerto Ricano versus Bruiser Mastino. The crowd taunts Bruiser. Ricano avoids Bruiser. Ricano with a series of moves but can't get Bruiser down. Bruiser clothesline and stomps Ricano. Bruiser then suplexes Ricano. He stomps Ricano. He hits Ricano with a belly-to-belly suplex. He misses a splash and Ricano with a series of drop kicks. Bruiser catches Ricano and slams him down to get the pin. He slams him again after the match. The fans chant 911. Mastino slams Ricano again and 911 comes out. Mastino pushes 911. He punches 911. 911 choke slams Mastino. Bill Alfonso comes out and says he's banned the choke slam. Ty Gordon comes out and attacks Alfonso. Taz comes in and grabs Gordon. 911 grabs Alfonso. Taz goes after 911, but Mastino grabs him first. He gets choke slammed again. Taz and 911 are face to face until they get separated by other wrestlers. 911 choke slams other wrestlers before he leaves. Blue Meanie, Stevie Richards, Chubby Dudley, and Dances with Dudley come in and dance some, and the crowd wants Bubba. He comes out with Big Dick. He dances for the crowd. He slaps Blue Meanie, and Richards gets pissed and tells Bubba he isn't happy and that Raven wouldn't be happy with him. Richards slaps Bubba and says if he can't beat the Blue Meanie, he's fired. Bubba puts down Richards and Meanie attacks Bubba. Meanie moonsaults Bubba. Bubba attacks Meanie. He hits an elbow drop and pins Meanie. The rest of the Dudleys then attack Meanie. Richards then kisses up to the Dudleys. They leave Richards and go to the back. ECW World Heavyweight Championship match. The Sandman with Woman versus Raven with Stevie Richards and Beulah McGillicuddy. Sandman and Woman do their pre-match routine. It takes a while to get started. Raven attacks Sandman after Sandman was distracted by Richards. Sandman ran into the barricade repeatedly, then Raven sent over the barricade. Sandman blocks a DDT attempt. Sandman with a guillotine leg drop to Raven. Raven hits a low blow. Raven punches Sandman and gets a 1 count. Sandman hits a back elbow. He punches and kicks Raven down. Raven comes back with a suplex for a 2 count. Sandman throws Raven outside. He throws Raven over the barricade and guillotines Raven on the barricade using the cane. Sandman with a running kick. He misses a somersault splash and Raven gets a 2 count. Raven suplexed to the outside and they both go over, back and forth. Sandman throws the timekeeper's table at Raven. Raven boots Sandman several times. Raven ran into the table and broke it. Sandman slams Raven with the table. He misses an elbow drop when Raven moves. Sandman drops an elbow on Raven. Sandman with a corner whip. He hits another one. Raven gets a boot up on a charge and clotheslines Sandman, but referee John Finnegan also gets taken out. All three down in the ring. Richards enters and jumps Sandman. Woman canes Richards. She then canes Raven. Raven gets the cane and hits Sandman repeatedly. He covers Sandman. Tommy Dreamer comes out and gets the cane and hits Raven, Sandman, and Richards. Beulah comes in and Dreamer pile drives her. He goes out and Raven and Sandman continue to punch each other. Cactus Jack comes out and hits Sandman with a double arm DDT. Sandman kicks out at 2. Sandman blocks a superplex attempt and bulldogs Raven off the top rope to get the pin. The Public Enemy, Rocco Rock and Johnny Grunge versus the Gangsters, New Jack and Mustafa. They start to brawl as soon as the Gangsters get to the ring. New Jack hangs Grunge over the top rope. Rock hits Mustafa with a garbage pail lid. Rock with a moonsault for a 2 count. They all brawl at ringside. Rock is a bloody mess. New Jack and Grunge trade blows inside the ring. They brawl all over using weapons the fans hand them. Grunge chokes Mustafa with a cane. New Jack hits Rock with a stun gun. Rock moonsaults Mustafa on a table, but it doesn't break. Mustafa sets the table up again. Mustafa moonsaults Rock through the table. He gets a 2 count. Rock hits the drive-by, but referee Jim Molyneux was distracted. New Jack hits Rock with a chair and Mustafa rolls him up to get the pin. The crowd chants, "You sold out to Public Enemy," but then give them a standing ovation. Main event, Cactus Jack versus Sabu. Jack comes to the ring first. He gets the mic and puts WCW down. He then tells a story about a friend in a wheelchair and the crowd is not interested at all. He says his match will be an Olympic rules match. Sabu comes to the ring. They try to get Sabu to start. 911 comes out and chokeslams referee Pee Wee Moore 2 times. He then says he's the referee and Sabu attacks Jack. Sabu with a suicide dive to Jack on the outside. Sabu hits a guillotine leg drop. Sabu with a kick for 1 count. Jack with a back elbow to Sabu. Jack with a double arm DDT to get a 2 count. He hits another one on the chair for another 2 count. Jack runs and drops a chair on Sabu from the apron. He runs Sabu into the barricade, back and forth. Sabu attacks Jack with a chair. Jack gets caught in the ropes. Sabu with air Sabu to Jack. They brawl on the outside. Sabu ran into the timekeeper's table. They fight on the apron. Jack is thrown onto the floor. Sabu with a suicide dive to Jack. Sabu with a kick to the face. He follows it up with a chair to the face. They battle back outside. Sabu hits Jack with a chair. Sabu with a crossbody to Jack from the apron through a table. Jack with an inside cradle for a 2 count. They both get hurt on the chair spot. Jack misses a leg drop. Sabu with several chair shots to Jack. Sabu with an atomic Arabian facebuster for a 2 count. Sabu falls on Jack when Jack goes for a scoop slam to get the pin. They sign off. Final thoughts. This was a good show that sets up 1996 for ECW. You can follow me on Facebook, Threads, and Instagram at TheJoeyHarris. If you like this show, please leave a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred podcast app. I would really appreciate it. We can also be found on Spotify and YouTube. Just search for The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show and don't forget to hit subscribe. Thank you for joining me. This is Joey saying so long from the heart of Virginia.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.